I will now call the Monday, January 22nd, 2008 City Council meeting to order. Please rise. We will have the invocation by Reverend Martha O'Reilly from First United Methodist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance with Police Explorers and Councilwoman Sierra. Please rise.
Let's pray. God of the universe, we thank you, Lord, for all of your creation. We thank you for the ability to live in a free country, Lord. And we ask for your presence here, that it might be felt. We ask for your wisdom, that it might be known. And as we come together in these proceedings tonight, just bless us in ways that will not only further the good of this city, but that further the good of your kingdom. Amen.
Amen.
I'm attention. Can't read colors. Forward, march. Forward, march. Present arms.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Forward, arms. Right face. Forward, march.
You may be seated. We will have a key to the city presented to DEA Special Agent Tommy Ayu. After we do roll call. Mayor Bell? Present. Vice Mayor Burgess?
Present.
Councilwoman Lobos? Here. Councilman McCormick?
Here.
Councilwoman Sierra? Here. Councilwoman Waldman? I think I'm enjoying my job too much.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor. Deletions, additions, deferrals.
Additions, deletions, deferrals? Thank you. Now we'll have special presentations. Special agent here? Is he here?
Yeah.
Please come forward. Thank you.
Detective Grant, are you here? The gentleman coming up here is Tommy Ayu. He's a special agent with the Drug Enforcement Administration, and he has no idea why he's here. Just to let you know, of course we have Chief Alroll here, Major Scott Kennedy. Detective Vaughn Grant behind me here, he's one of our narcotics detectives, and he also works for the Hyder Group number 43 for over 5 years now up in Miami, dealing with trafficking, impounding monies, money launderers. It's quite a job and a detail up there. Tommy's about ready to retire from the DEA, and he works very closely with Vaughn. So our department wanted to recognize the special agent here with a memento before he actually leaves the DEA, which is within a couple weeks, I believe. So if I could read this plaque for Tommy. Tommy, come on up. It's from the Homestead Police Department, Special Agent Tommy Ayu, for your outstanding dedication, professionalism, for the assistance you have provided to the City of Homestead Police Department in fighting the war on drugs, March 2002 through December 2007. Before I hand you this, I'm going to have Detective Grant describe how it's been working with Tommy. Get out of order, sir. That's okay. You did all right. Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't know what I actually do up the road, and when I went up the road, I had the privilege from our department sending me up to DEA.
I got the great privilege of meeting Tommy, and you're not going to find a better person, a better law enforcement officer, or a person in general that I had the privilege to work with hand in hand every day. We started a case back in 2002. Three. We've been on it forever. But just to let you know, through Tommy's hard work and how the city reaped some of the benefits, we were able to get three major drug cartel players that are like on the top 10 list for the FBI. They're on the top 40 list for the DEA. In that case, we seized 2,000 kilos, 17 million in Spain, where Tommy went to Spain and did some work there. I went to Mexico. They have ties in Colombia, Mexico, the United States, and now they're in our jails in the United States where they were extradited. And this year. Okay, Beer Bill. And after that case, after we got him here, the case wasn't finished, and there's some things I couldn't say, and some things Linda wanted. She asked me, what couldn't you say and what you can't? But we also, with Tommy's investigative skills and stuff, we decided we'd look into all their assets and their banking assets and things like that. And we were able to go after a bank, which we did, the second largest bank in California. And it's no surprise to nobody now because it's in Forbes and everywhere else. It's called the Union Bank of California, where, how do you want to say that? Deferred prosecution ended up the bank because they're working with the drug dealers and laundering their money, and they knew it was wrong and they did it anyway. They ended up doing a deferred prosecution in the sum of $36 million. Where 21 million of that came back to us, and a portion of that comes to the city of Homestead. And I know they're looking for that. And one other thing, and then I can go on because we do a ton of different things, but we also seized 8 million euros back in May. And we're getting down to the bottom of that to where we think we might be able to keep that money also. So, and through that, no other euros have left Colombia since that seizure. So, we're now trying to find those euros. But you know what? I just want to say I look up to this guy, and he's a great guy, and I thank the department for giving me the opportunity to go and work with somebody like this. And he's going to be missed by our group and missed by the citizens of Homestead too.
Detective Grant and I are friends for a very long time, and we go to church together, and we've just known each other for about 20 years now. And I've met this DEA special agent on a couple of different occasions, and he just raves about him and praises him for the work that he did. So, and he does. So when he came to me and asked for a key to the city, I thought it would be our absolute pleasure and delight to honor such a great man, especially a great man who's contributed to a great, vast source of funding for our police department. So I'm more than happy to honor you tonight. So we are now presenting a key of the city, presented to Tommy Ayu, DEA Special Agent, key of the city of Homestead, in appreciation for your commitment and dedication to the Homestead community from the mayor and council from the city of Homestead. And we are honored to give this to you. Thank you. I don't think we realize sometimes that these officers, these special agents, how they risk their lives and how they put their lives on the lines and what situations that they find themselves in. So I thank you so much for standing for him. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Say a few words first. Say a few words.
I'm overwhelmed. I had no idea. Yvonne said we're going to go have dinner tonight, so I drove down here, and I had no idea this was going to happen. I am overwhelmed and humbled by this honor. I came here to Florida 5 years ago, transferred here from Honolulu, Hawaii. That's where I'm from, and had no idea I'd run into Vaughn and Homestead Police Department. I didn't even know there was a city called Homestead until I got here. In fact, I was so confused that when I first bought a house, they said you're going to get a homestead exemption, and I thought, I'm getting a homestead exemption. And then he said he was from Homestead Police Department. I thought they were the same thing, but then I learned. Now I know the difference. But it's actually been my pleasure to work with the Homestead Police Department, with the fine men and women that have contributed to the DEA. We work at HIDA, which is a separate task force and combines the strengths of the local police departments with the federal agencies, and it's a great partnership. And Vaughn and I, we were able to latch onto this investigation, which took us through all parts of the world, and we were able to target these major violators who were hurting a lot of people in Europe and killing each other in Mexico and Colombia. And we finally got to their bank account, just like Vaughn said, and I'm happy to say that the sharing that's going to go to the Homestead Police Department is going to be in excess of $4 million. So Chief, that's for new police cars, overtime, whatever you want. Computers, training.
Don't stay with the PD, right?
It only stays with the PD. But again, thank you very much. I'm honored by this, and I will remember this the rest of my life. And I'll tell the people in Honolulu how fine it is to work in the city of Homestead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next, we have a MacArthur Senior High School presentation.
Good evening. My name is Dave Moore. I am the principal at the Young Men's Academy for Academic and Civic Development at MacArthur South. On behalf of Mr. Altman, who was one of our teachers, Leonel Martinez, who was one of our students, Beatrice Herman, who was our community involvement specialist, and she's hiding in the second row, Janice Klein-Young, who was one of our art teachers. We just wanted to take the opportunity and present Mayor Bell with a little token of our appreciation. We are a school of service, and even though our campus is located in the Kendall area, we are very well connected in the Homestead area. We have a service learning project at Nevakin Cooper where our students work very, very connected with those students. At Art South, we have a group of students who go down there and participate with the artists there, and then they go back and teach the skills learned at Art South throughout the community. And we look forward to providing our service. We are a learn and serve school. We are a service learning school, and we look forward to having the opportunity to continue to serve in Homestead. So as a person who grew up in Homestead, I am thrilled that you're here, and we want to take the opportunity to present you with two small tokens which were crafted by our student here this evening. First of all, this plaque.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much.
We also have a pencil and pen set that was also crafted by our students. So we are thrilled to have you, and thank you.
Thank you so much. A couple years ago, Beatrice came to me. You should probably tell the story about the grant. Beatrice came to me, and I had actually forgotten about it, and she had asked me to propose a grant letter on behalf of MacArthur South, and they have the most fabulous service learning program, I think, in the country. And so I said, absolutely, because they had no funds, and so they weren't going to be able to continue the program. So I was able to write a letter for them and kind of plead on their behalf so that they would be able to continue the program. Well, they ended up getting the grant. And I had actually forgotten about it until I went to the Cocoa Rock Homeowners Association where you reminded me. So thank you very much. I just want you to know it's my pleasure, absolutely my pleasure, and thank you for this. This means a lot to me. You know what? If anybody has a BlackBerry or anything like that, it needs to be turned completely off, not just on vibrate, because it interferes. That's the problem. Thank you.
Yeah, make sure it's the right way.
Check is for communication. But I need to communicate with the outside world. Fatality from our
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the Tough Enough to Wear Pink Day, Homestead Rodeo Association. I love seeing all these men dressed in pink. Well, one of the most fabulous events that happens in the city of Homestead is going to be happening this weekend, and that's the Homestead Rodeo. And I tell you, it was great. And actually, this week also is the culmination of the Black Stallion Literacy Program that will be at the rodeo as well. And so you'll see a lot of little girls wearing pink shirts too. So it's really great. We love the rodeo, and we're so glad you're here. And so I would like to read the proclamation to you on behalf of the city. Whereas the Homestead Rodeo was the southernmost rodeo in these United States of America and has been bringing together cowboy and cowgirl athletes from across the state and nation for over 50 years, and whereas the Homestead Rodeo Association supports rodeo and the tough American spirit of the sport and are proud to sponsor the Tough Enough to Wear Pink campaign to benefit the Susan G. Komen for the Cure. And the toughest cowboys, cowgirls, specialty acts, volunteers, and attendees will be wearing pink on Friday, January the 25th, to raise awareness for breast cancer research and the success of the Homestead Rodeo and the many accompanying special events, such as the Rodeo Parade, Black Stallion Literacy Project, and the Tough Enough to Wear Pink campaign is a result of the hard work and the efforts of the Homestead Rodeo Association and its volunteers. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Linda Bell, Mayor of the City of Homestead, and the Homestead City Council do hereby proclaim Friday, January 25th, 2008 as Tough Enough to Wear Pink Day in Homestead. There you go. And in observance, I call upon the good people of Homestead and Miami-Dade County to join me. Thank you.
On behalf of the Homestead Rodeo Association, we're just happy to be able to give something back, and we want to send a special thanks to Mayor Bell and the rest of the council just for supporting us in this.
It's our pleasure.
Hope to see you at the rodeo.
Mayor Bell, could I just say that I'd like to wish them luck and thank them all that they do, and tell them that I'm sorry that myself and most of the other council members will not be able to attend this week as we're going to be gone to the conference, but we know that they're going to put on a great event as they always do, and thank you for all that they return back to the city of Homestead. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
And Mayor Bell, if I might just add one thing, I want to really thank you guys, because most of you know I've worked with you many years. You know I'm a breast cancer survivor, and it means so much to me. Thank you. And so many other people in this community, what you do. Thank you so much. Yes.
Come on up.
Everybody in a pink shirt, would you all come forward for a minute, please?
Pleasure. You want us to go up front here?
Wherever you have room, it doesn't matter.
You got a bunch of probably better on the podium. Lord, don't let anybody.
love Delilah. Give my love. I will.
Nephew was born today.
The nice thing about going to the rodeo dinner is you get to wear blue jeans and a cowboy boots and not a suit. That's the best part about it. The next item on the agenda is the Officer of the Year presentation to Canine Officer Anthony Green, and I would like Vice Mayor John Burgess to join me, please, for this presentation. Captain Fogler.
We're back again. Anthony, you here? During the year 2000, we have an Officer of the Month program. And during that year, Anthony was the Officer of the Month for February and September. And it wasn't that long ago that we did the September Officer of the Month. If you were here, recall he was involved in a police shooting. He actually saved the life of a woman who was being stabbed by an individual. Another woman was also stabbed. The child that tried to defend the other woman that was hurt in that and cut. It was quite an ordeal he went through. We looked at all the Officer of the Months for the year, and we had a vote with our Fraternal Order of Police. And in December, he was presented with Officer of the Year 2007 for the Homestead Police Department. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Mayor Bell, and she will present him also with that award from the City of Homestead.
John, why don't you read this?
On behalf of the city, I'd like to present this to Officer Anthony Green. K-9 Officer Anthony Green, 2007 Officer of the Year. With our sincere appreciation and gratitude for your untiring dedication and service to the Homestead Police Department and our community, the City of Homestead and Mayor Council, you will always be a part of our family. And I just want to say thank you very much. I went along for my first ride along there a week ago, so I know the danger and the work that these men do, and it's not an easy job or an easy situation that they put themselves in out there every night, and I have a lot more appreciation for what they do, and I just want to tell Officer Green once again, thank you very much for all your hard work and dedication to the city and all of its residents, and well deserved.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to say a few words?
This is beautiful. Thank you very much. Just real quick, right here I see it says you will always be a part of our family, and it's maybe difficult for some individuals to understand. The law enforcement community it's a second family, and I thank you very much for adding that little comment there. It means a whole lot, because I do consider people I work with a second family. And the support I got from everybody during the incident, after the incident, and pretty much the support we give each other every day is you'll never be able to experience it unless you're there firsthand. It's an amazing thing, and I know how people retire from the police department and law enforcement, and they have a hard time swallowing that, and they somehow or another stumble back into it. The love and hate relationship. I'd like to thank the council, mayor, vice mayor, thank you. And thank you for the support of the police department ongoing, Chief Major Kennedy, and the rest of the administration at the police department. I want to assure you that not only from my part, but the other individuals that we work with and that I work with, that you're getting quality workmanship. And every day I see that. A lot of new people are coming in. A lot of quality individuals are out there on the streets protecting the city and the citizens in Homestead and the surrounding communities, and I assure you you're getting nothing but quality work from us. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Just also, I think it's all been said, but we are very proud of you. Very, very proud of you. I would like to add that Officer Green at the policeman's ball wore an amazing green tie, and his wife wore a green dress, and they were color coordinated from his tie to her dress. You see, we women pick up on these things. That was very clever, by the way. Anyway, congratulations. We're very proud of you.
At the beginning of the council meeting, you saw those young men and women that walked in here. That's the way Anthony Wein started in the police department many, many, many years ago. He was a police explorer. So from that day, which was maybe, how many years ago? 15 years ago. 15 years ago. So basically what it tells you that, you know, it's not how you start the race, it's how you finish. And take a look at Anthony Wein. He's basically a legend in the department, starting as an explorer. Now he's one of the top officers in the department. So again, you know, we have to commend him because he's done an outstanding job for us. And thank you for all the training you give our new guys that come in as well. Really appreciate that. That's what it's all about, you know, just sharing with your knowledge of someone that's coming in brand new. So again, thank you, appreciate it, and well deserved. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is proclamation presentation to Farm Share Organization, Patricia Robbins, chairperson and co-founder. And I'd like Councilwoman Waldman to come and help me with this, please. Judy, would you read the proclamation, please?
I'd be happy to.
I would have loaned you mine.
Hi, how are you? Well, this is a surprise. Thank you, Mayor Bell, for allowing me to do this. Patricia and I have gone back many, many years. We've loaded many a semi-trailer truck to feed the people who were stricken by Charlie, was it Hurricane Charlie, and how many semis? Wilma. We did a lot. We've done a lot together. These are things I do that we don't really talk about too much at council, but Patricia's my friend, and she calls me, and I say, okay, and we put on the tennis shoes, and we start loading those trucks and bagging food, and thank you to our farmers for always being so gracious, and sometimes I wonder how we became so deserving, our community. I'm looking at you, Mr. Alger, and all the other farmers that happen, the Tracy's, whoever's in the audience who are in the farming industry. It's been a blessing to Farm Share. So I will read the proclamation. Patty, I don't think you could type small enough here. Whereas Farm Share Inc. was founded in 1992 in Homestead, Florida, and whereas Farm Share Inc. distributes more than 230 million pounds of food with a value of over $345 million, and whereas through the donation of millions of pounds of fresh vegetables by Homestead farmers, innate labor and volunteers, Farm Share Inc. fed more than 800,000 families in 2007 at no charge. And whereas Farm Share Inc. distributed more than 6,000 new backpacks last year filled with school supplies to the poor and migrant children in the South Bay community, and whereas Farm Share is the only charity packing house in the eastern United States and the largest food bank in Florida that does not charge for any of its services. And whereas Farm Share is supported by the Florida Legislature and Commission of Agriculture, Charles Bronson, Miami-Dade County, Florida, Department of Corrections, local corporations, foundations, supermarkets, and individual donors. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Linda Bell, Mayor, along with the City Council of the City of Homestead of Florida, do hereby declare Tuesday, January 22nd, 2008 to be designated as Farm Share Inc. Day in Homestead. And we call upon the residents of Homestead to join with us in saluting Farm Share for its hard work and dedication. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here.
16 years ago, this idea was conceived by our Florida farmers and our Farm Bureau. Dave Fredericks and Kristen McGregor with the Farm Bureau at the time. I want you to know that sitting in the audience here is Richard Alger, who donated the first 10,000 pounds of food that ever came to FarmShare. Now those numbers are up to over 230 million pounds in the 16 years, $27 million in food per year coming from our Florida farmers. This year began as a tough year with the drought up in northern Florida and too much rain here. But things have turned around, and just this month we have picked up and distributed 1.6 million pounds of food in the month of January, and the month is not complete. So I just want to say thank you to you all of you who have supported us, the Mayor Bell, and of course my friend Judy. And as she said, we've spent many hours and many days loading trucks and distributing food to disaster relief areas and times. All of the members who are on the podium who have supported us all the years, and all of those in the audience who have done the same. We are requesting a budget item of $500,000 from the state of Florida. We took a 40% cut this past year down to $300,000. We do hope they'll restore that and give us our 2 positions. We need your support to continue this program. We use inmate labor, and our budget is $1.4 million for $27 million in food. So it's really a big bang for the buck, and we need your help to do this year. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, Judy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll come on this.
Is there someone here about the Internet seminar announcement from the office of Congressman Ballard? Please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Gloria Namor. I'm with the office of Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart. First of all, I would like to thank Mayor Bell and the City Council members for giving me the opportunity to be here this evening. The Congressman will be holding an Internet seminar on Saturday, February 2nd from 10 to noon here in the Council Chambers. It's called Protecting Our Children Online Against Internet Predators. The Congressman will be present. We will also have speakers from the FBI and Miami-Dade Police giving presentations on how to protect our children, and we will have question and answers session afterwards. We'd like to invite all of you to attend, and if you have any friends and family that would be interested in attending, we'd also like you to welcome them. I'll put some flyers in the back on the way out with all the information. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much. We now have a presentation, 2007 Annual Homestead Housing Authority presentation. Mr. Bob Jensen.
Good evening. I'm going to break my remarks into 3 different parts. The first part will be the HUD Housing Choice Voucher Program, better known as Section 8, which is probably about 2/3 of our program. The Department of Agriculture Farm Worker Housing Program. And then I'm going to spend just a short period of time talking to you about the Providers Network Services Organizations and what they do for our clients. Our chairperson is Sally Stribling. Our vice chair is Richard Alger, who is here this evening. Our commissioners are the Reverend Bill Chambers, Arturo De Leon, Carl Brodus Hartley, Marbilia Zamoripa, and Bob Jensen. The Section 8 program has 1,619 vouchers. Before Hurricane Andrew, we had 60.
Wow.
The recipients get a subsidy for a portion of their rent. Most of the recipients are in the Homestead, Florida City area, with some all the way up to Cutler Ridge. We put $14 million a year into the economy for property owners. The money goes to the property owners. Our average housing assistance payment is $798. The lowest is $136, and the size of the assistance is dependent on the size of the housing unit and the income of the recipient. Now, all of our recipients have to be documented, can have no drug arrests, no pedophiles or sexual predators, and no violent crime committers. And if they commit any of those offenses while in our program, they're immediately removed. There's a long waiting list for the program. HUD tells us when to open it, when to close it, and gives us all the direction. It's only open for 2 days, and in 2 days we will receive 3,500 applications. It's so hectic that we have to get the police down to direct traffic off of US 1. There are some bonus points for disability. Employment means if you've got a job, you get 50 extra points, and if you live here, you get 50 extra points. Then, according to HUD instructions, we send these 3 lists off to a private company that does a random shuffling of them, a lottery, if you will. And usually there's about a 2-year wait. The primary folks served by our HUD program are women and children. 91% of the households are headed by women, 9% by males. The breakdown is 64% black, 35% white. Ethnicity, 26% Hispanic, 74% non-Hispanic. Our average household is 3.26 persons, and we serve 5,302 family members. That's broken into 1,624 families, and that's about what the population of Homestead was back in the 1950s. Most of the units we subsidize are 2- and 3-bedroom units. 30% of them are 2, and 47% are 3-bedroom units. Families have to requalify every year. They do this by coming in. All the adult members have to come into the office, have to prove income and the number of people in the household. And then in addition to this, we do an annual safety and sanitation inspection so that the landlords are providing the kind of housing that they should. Our second program is rural development. It's a domestic farm worker program. We serve 634 families. They must be documented. They must have 50% or more of the family income coming from farm work, and the same rules apply to them. No violent crime, no pedophiles, no sexual predators, and they, of course, have to meet, again, the same restrictions. Our houses, those 634 houses, most of them were built in the 1960s. Some of them were actually built in 1941 as wash houses and have been converted. In the 1970s, Miami-Dade County came in and really closed down those old houses, the 1941 houses, and in the 60s and 70s we built most of the current houses, though we have constructed 60 since 1992, and these are much nicer, much larger houses. 574 of the houses have no rental assistance, which means everybody pays the same amount of rent no matter what the income. Our average family, farm worker families, total family income is $24,400. That means mom, dad, any adult children working. Our construction is financed by bonds, low-interest government bonds, and this provides money for our construction. And for the farm worker program, that's really where the subsidies are if there is no rental assistance. So for 574 units, the only government support was in the construction. Our bond debt is $145,000 per year, and this comes from the rents paid by the farm workers. Farm workers are wonderful paying their rent. A lot of private landlords would be very proud of the record that we have because of their faithfulness in paying their rents. I'll give you an idea of what the costs are. A one-bedroom unit rents for $275, three-bedroom $330, four-bedroom $346. Now that's about 1/4 of the market rate, so it's a wonderful opportunity. 318 of our houses are located in the city of Homestead, and 316 are outside the city. And before the city incorporated the area east of the city, the numbers were much stronger. We have $12,000 pledged from the U.S. Department of Agriculture to replace 139 units of our oldest housing at Redmond. This will be a 3-year project. Our budget is $2.5 million a year, and all but $184,000 of that comes from rents paid by farm workers from their salaries. We do the same, go through the same process as we do with our other families. We requalify them yearly. Then again, we do extra inspections. We have older housing units, so we inspect them twice a year for safety and sanitation. And in addition to this, the U.S. Department of Agriculture comes down and does random inspections as well. The profile for our farm worker housing residents is completely different. It's 99% white and 1% black and Asian. Ethnicity is 98% Hispanic and 2% non-Hispanic. 44% of households are headed by women, and this is something fairly new, a new phenomenon in farm worker housing. The average family size is 3.62, and we serve 2,213 family members in 611 families. Now on our provider side, our families have wonderful, wonderful services provided. The service providers are Redmond Christian Migrant Association, Baylor University, Sembrano Flores, De La Salle Educational Center, and Community Health of South Dade. Redmond Christian Migrant Association actually was founded here in Homestead as a result of the work of Mennonites who came from up north in the 1960s and worked at both Redmond and South Dade. Now they have more than 70 centers all over the state of Florida, and many see them as the premier provider of services to children. We have 354 of our children in their programs. 282 of them are small children in early childhood creative curricula. 72 are school age and after school programs. They also operate a community learning center for all our residents. Baylor University, and I think Dr. Greenleaf is here, and also Deborah Chirambini. Dr. Greenleaf is the executive director for special projects for Baylor University. They have a Head Start, Early Start program and a Family Literacy Academy at South Dade. Wow. They have 76 preschoolers, 45 elementary students, and 100 adults. And their core programs are adult education, early childhood, parenting education, parent and child together time. Sembrano Flores is headed by Nancy Rivera. Nancy's in our audience. It's a non-denominational, faith-based, compassionate care organization. They do a tremendous amount of work with both our Section 8 and our farm worker housing community, as well as others. Last year they did adult counseling for 1,365. Their HIV testing and counseling benefited 836 individuals. Their HIV education outreach, 956 interventions. And risk prevention for teenagers, 838 people. They have a youth substance abuse prevention program, which had 3,242 interventions. They have a lot of volunteers come from all over the county, and organizations, many churches support them as well. The last formal program is De La Salle. It's at South Dade, and they have an education center. This is a product of the Catholic Church. It's preschool and after-school programs. 56 children are served. They have after-school literacy tutoring, study rooms for the children, teach English, citizenship, computers, sports, band, and sewing. And what's really unique about them is they are there 7 days a week, 12 months a year. The last category is health, and we're very fortunate there because in addition to all that Sembando Flores does, we have the Miami Baptist Association, which brings down a mobile dental clinic, and this is very, very important for our children. The University of Miami has a mobile pediatric clinic, which they bring down. But best of all, we have Community Health of South Dade providing primary health care and mental health care. And they actually have a clinic at South Dade, and our residents can use any of their facilities. Our goals for the future are to replace the 40-year-old units. They're more than 40 years old. And this is really a long and hard process because we compete with farm worker organizations all over the nation. Fortunately, Florida competes very well, and we've got the first 139 funded, and we hope that if we do a good job, that will continue. We're replacing old roofs on the houses that we're not replacing, the ones that are going to be here for some time. And again, we're doing this without any grant money, without any federal money, and we're repainting some of the older units. So really, with the farm worker housing, except for the 60 units that have the rental subsidy, farm workers are paying their way. And they're paying for the new roofs, and they're paying for the repainting, and they're paying for the extra security that we have so often. Our problem is not crime from within, but a lot of our farm workers are victims of crime which comes to them. And so again, we spend a fair amount of money on security. And we'll be back next year if you invite us back.
Thank you very much for this presentation. I don't think we've ever had a presentation on exactly in a long, long time on what exactly is happening at the Homestead Housing Authority. And very often you get maybe the negative side, so it's very good to come, to have you come here and give us what's really happening over there and how many people and how many children are actually being served. So thank you very much, and I want to remind everybody this is a volunteer board. So, yes. No, we thank you in this board of directors. We thank you for what you do. Thank you, Barry University. Thank you for all the programs and services that are provided to these, and thank you very much. Before we move into the consent agenda, James, would you like to give a clarification on this item that was sent out so the people that are here for Keysgate Charter School might have some clarification before they wait?
Certainly, Mayor, I will try. I think everyone's a little confused, and I just want to make sure that...
Speak into the microphone, James.
Just want to make sure that everyone... You received a letter or a memo that was a letter, actually, from Robin Sandler that was circulated to you all, which I think you all have, and it is in regards to whether or not a charter school would be exempt from concurrency, transportation concurrency. As we were speaking before the meeting, you had a resident up who was questioning you this and was making reference to two items that are scheduled on your agenda under legislative. One is your comprehensive plan amendment for the public school concurrency, and the other is the interlocal agreement. The two, I think, are separate, and I'm not exactly sure from the tone of this letter if this person and people from the Keysgate Charter School are here to comment on those items or comment on just the particular issue of whether or not a charter school should be exempt from transportation concurrency.
Right. There's two issues here. One is just basically school concurrency, which is the burden that's placed upon the developer when they build to lessen the impact in the community, and the other one is transportation concurrency. Two completely separate items, and I think there may have been a confusion of the two items because the actual school concurrency item is on the agenda, not transportation concurrency.
Right, and how that applies to any proposed school who may be wanting to come into the city. Right. That item is not on the agenda. So,
Mr. David, that item is not even on the agenda tonight. Was there some confusion as to that?
Well, the purpose for us coming to speak to you tonight was very simply to ask for your assistance with this transportation concurrency issue. I think it's, the agenda items are, kind of speak to that, but that is not the purpose for us to speak, was not on those agenda items.
Well, that would have to be something that we deal with outside of the council chambers, because it's not even on the agenda, it's not an agenda item. So we'd have to have a meeting with Development Services, Mrs. Kamali, Mr. White, and as well as myself. We would have to meet to discuss that, but that would not be anything that could be decided upon tonight.
It was at your pleasure, Mayor Bell. The purpose of our being here was to speak under the public comment section. That's what we were hoping to have an opportunity to do that. It would be, if it would be okay, we could, it's a kind of a short issue. If you want us to just go...
Are you going to be the only one speaking? Because if there's going to be many people speaking,
I can speak on behalf of the folks here, I think, unless there's a real... it's really, it's a fairly complex, it's a small issue, but it's a complicated issue. And that is that in 2006, the City Homestead adopted a concurrency management system.
Right.
That system is being applied to a school site that we are in the process of requesting approval for, that is on Kingman Road. It's near our current school, and the purpose is for us to take students that are on our waiting list and put them into that new school. The problem is that the interpretation is that our new school will have to meet concurrency, as any development would under that ordinance. And what our request was to get a sense of the council so that you could direct your staff to say, our intent was not to apply concurrency management to public schools, public charter schools, because it will make them impossible to build in Homestead. So that's what we're asking for. And the reason we're here doing it in this public forum, which we admit is irregular, is because we're running up against a time deadline. We want to get this school underway, to get construction going so that we can put these students in stations next year. So we're here sort of as a person who does a lot of work around governments. I will tell you, and I'll admit, that it's irregular to come to you and plead this way. But this is the only way that we could figure out to meet all of the deadlines and development issues that we have to face in order to put this school in place. So that's what we're here for, and we'd love to...
Let's go ahead and let you schedule a meeting with Mr. White and with Ms. Kamali, and I would be happy to meet with you as well. Since we've gone ahead and opened this up, I actually was just bringing this up because I thought there was some confusion with tonight's agenda, or I would have gone ahead and put it on public comment. But since it's already on the floor, does the council...
I apologize for any confusion that I created. I'm sure it falls with me. I will take responsibility for it.
Since it's already on the floor, does council have any questions or comments? Or because we really do need to probably, more than likely, just defer this back to staff at this point before we bring any recommendation forth. It would have to go back to staff first.
Mayor Bell, can I just ask one quick question?
You certainly can.
What is your deadline?
We would like to close the contract and have our site plan submitted here in the next couple of months, but we needed to know. I'm sorry. Let me introduce Lisa Maxwell, who's our vice president.
I'm sorry? To answer your question, my name is Lisa Maxwell. I'm the Vice President of Development for Charter Schools USA. Our deadline is in 2 weeks. And we also are looking at the potential of a high school site, and so we really need this guidance from the Commission before we obligate ourselves by purchasing a piece of very expensive land. If it's the Commission's will to impose this ordinance upon us, it will make building a charter school completely infeasible. Actually, it'll make a charter school within the city, in our opinion, not feasible.
Ms. Kamali?
Yes, Mayor. I just want to give you an update. We met originally before the holidays, and we did some research in-house, and we find out that they need to meet concurrency. That was our interpretation of the code. However, before the holiday, before Christmas holiday, their attorney contacted our attorney, and they're supposed to send us some information about their understanding so we can sit down and discuss this matter in further detail. However, as of right now, I haven't received any information from them, and this was before the Christmas holidays.
Okay, at this point, we will go ahead tonight, before you leave here, schedule a meeting with Ms. Kamali, Mr. White, and we'll get this resolved. And we will get something on the table very quickly, whether we can or cannot change it, but we need to meet with staff first. And yeah, because it would be very irregular to have council take any action without getting some type of feedback and direction from our staff. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have before us the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to move the consent agenda forward.
I'll move it. Second it, Mayor.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council on the consent agenda? All in favor say aye. Aye. And the ayes carry. Thank you so much. Mr. Weiss? We'll give him just a second, Mr. Weiss.
Excuse me. Are those lights were in your eyes tonight? Those lights were in your eyes tonight? Yeah. Oh, God, that was... That was just right in my...
You freezing, and even that sleepy.
Getting to you, huh?
I dozed off a couple times.
You know, it's, I didn't sleep last night either. It's too much pressure.
Please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment on any of these items, please indicate the item number you'd like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives that testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish either to be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for that organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda.
Mr. Attorney, on item 8B2, I've had several phone calls, emails, and conversations, meetings on that item.
Could you indicate who those conversations have been with?
Well, with you and your staff and the applicant and some of their staff.
Thank you.
Yes, that's under quasi-judicial?
No, it's outside.
Yeah.
If it comes back, it will be a quasi-judicial item, but it's not quasi-judicial at this time. At this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify.
Sorry. I have had several conversations. Item 7C.
And who did you speak with?
And I spoke to Mr. Cotto and their attorney.
Okay. And what was the nature of the conversation?
The conversation was trying to get me some further information as to what the impact is on the changes.
Anything further?
I was contacted by the attorney on the same issue, and it was just more information.
Anything further?
I feel left out.
At this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify in any quasi-judicial item.
Please stand and raise your right hand. I state your name. Hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you.
Item 7A is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting preliminary plat approval for a commercial retail center on approximately 6.5 acres of land located on the south side of 312th Street, Campbell Drive, and east of Southwest 167th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date.
I'll move it, Mayor. I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? We'll open the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the public? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 7B is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request for sign variances from the Code of Ordinances for Lowe's Home Centers, Inc., located at the southeast corner of Campbell Drive and southwest 162nd Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date. Mayor, members of the council, staff wanted me to indicate there's two small changes to the resolution that need to be noted. The Scrivener's errors, actually on page 2, under section 2, the approval of the variances, you'll note that the two signs are separated into A and B. One accessory sign on the west side of the store for indoor lumber, that should be on the east side of the store. And under B, where it says one accessory sign on the east side, that should be west. So the east and west are just flipped.
I'll move this, Mayor. I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Thank you. Would the applicant like to speak to this as well?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Lila Batiste and Juan Mayol on behalf of Lowe's Home Centers. We would just really like to take this opportunity on behalf of Lowe's to thank the City Council, the City Manager's Office, and the Development Services Department for working so closely with the Lowe's team and getting the store up and running ahead of schedule. And we really are privileged to represent a great client who takes very seriously their responsibility as a good corporate citizen, and they look forward to working with the city in years to come to benefit the city overall.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any further comment? Yes.
Just to add to that, I actually had a commitment from Lowe's to assist in our education mentoring program because of their commitment to our city. And I just wanted to mention that, and I'm very happy to say that they will be partnering with the city and the Education Committee for our mentoring program. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, you just need to open up to the public.
Oh, I'm sorry. Open up public comment. Close public comment. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 7C is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of San Remo Homes at Homestead LLC for a 6-month extension to a previously approved site plan for Tropical Villas located east of Southwest 162nd Avenue, north of Southwest 320th Street, and northwest of the Homestead extension of the Florida Turnpike as legally described in Exhibit A. An approximately 6.45-acre site consisting of 30 single-family dwelling units and providing for an effective date.
I'll move it. It's been properly moved. I'll second. And seconded. Any comment from staff?
No, Mayor.
I'd like to open the public hearing at this time. Any comment from the applicant? Any comment from council? Any questions or comments from council? No. Thank you. Close public comment. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 8D is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Country Gardens LLC for an additional 6-month extension to a previously approved site plan for Country Gardens located on the west side of Southwest 137th Avenue between theoretical Southwest 300th and 302nd Streets as legally described in Exhibit A, an approximately 18.7-acre site consisting of 100 single-family units and providing for an effective date.
Entertain a motion for approval.
I move it.
I'll second. It's been properly moved and seconded. I'd like to open the public hearing at this time. Any report from staff?
No, Mayor, I just want to mention that this is their second 6-month extension, so this is the last one.
This is the last one. Okay, thank you. Would the applicant like to present his case at all on this one? Thank you, Ms. Batiste.
Lila Batiste, 1 Mile on behalf of Country Gardens LLC. The last time we came before you, the applicant was in the process of obtaining environmental permits. When they originally went forward with their approval in August of 2006, at that time they were not aware that the 9 to 12 acres of the property contained wetlands. They didn't learn this because the environmental report was incorrect, and it was not until they were going through the platting process at Miami-Dade County did Durham advise them that they had to seek permits from Water Management District, Durham, as well as the Corps of Engineers to develop the property. So that is a very long and expensive process. They filed their applications with the agencies in March of 2007. They are still in that process. We, as recently as December 15th, I think, received correspondence from those agencies requesting additional information. So we're working with the agencies to get the environmental permit situation resolved and get the permits in hand to develop the site. Our environmental consultant, Lina Shale, is here to answer any specific questions you may have about the permitting process.
Do you think that you're going to be able to complete this because this is your last extension?
I understand, yes. We, at the worst case scenario, we will try to do construction on that portion of the property that does not contain wetlands. We've avoided doing that to this point because we didn't want to alarm the agencies or put ourselves in a position where the permitting process would be further delayed. But yes, I think at this point, we will be able to obtain the permits by August.
Any questions from council?
No.
We'll close public comment at this time. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Waldman? Yes. Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item is first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, increasing the membership of the Education Committee by adding 4 members and revising Division 3.5 Education Committee of Article 3 Boards, Committees, Commissions of Chapter 2 of the City Code by amending City Code Section 2111. Creation, composition, and qualifications, providing for severability, inclusion in the code, and effective date. This is the first reading.
I'll be happy to move it, Mayor.
I'll second. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council?
Just glad to see we have more people get involved and help us all down here with our education system. I know Councilwoman Sierra has been hitting the ground running for us and been doing a good job from what I hear. And with the addition of more people, I think that's just more power of the mind to help us get things straightened out down here. And I tell her good luck. And
thank you.
If you need more than 4, come back and talk to us.
Thank you very much. I'd like to open public comment at this time.
I may also make a statement just to publicly give my support to Councilwoman Sierra. I have been with her at several community meetings, and I've seen the kind of response that she has to this committee. I see her dedication to it, and so I'm very encouraged, and I look forward to seeing what she does with the next couple of years.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman? Yes. Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next 3 items, Madam Mayor, are land use items, so I'm going to ask Mr. White to take care of them.
Tab 21 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, providing for the imposition of a moratorium on issuance of development orders and permits and on the processing of development applications and land use plan amendments for townhouse, cluster house, and multiple family residential units within the city, and any proposed development over 6 dwelling units per acre, exempting specified development, providing for waivers, vested rights, appeals, and exhaustion of administrative remedies, providing for a 12-month term to be extended if necessary by the City Council, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
It's been properly moved by the Vice Mayor and seconded by Councilwoman Lobos. Initial comments from council? Any report from staff, Mr. White?
If if you would like to get a staff report, staff can do that. Just recite what's in the memorandum for you, if you would like, or I can. There's some other issues that I need to address with you all.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You should have in front of you, there are some letters that were circulated to you from some developers or property owners who will be subject to the moratorium. I think you have a letter from Portobello Estates, LLC. That's addressed. It was dated January 22nd. And I think you also have a letter from dated the 22nd from Mr. Coker regarding Portofino Park as well. There is a third letter that you have, which is from Holland and Knight in regards to San Remo Homes at Florida City. That's for the Keys Lake project, which is on your agenda later for reconsideration, a motion to reconsider. All those are asking for an exemption to this particular ordinance. They're currently not listed in the ordinance as an exemption, therefore it applies. I think in those letters, I'm not sure, I think both of those letters state that they realize that there is a waiver provision. However, they don't think that they don't feel that they should be paying $1,500 in going through that process because of the history of their projects. That's something for you all to consider. I don't know if you want to take any action on that. If not, the ordinance, you can pass it as it is, and those applications or those applicants, if they want to proceed, will have to come through for a waiver or for a vested rights determination pursuant to the provisions that are stipulated in the ordinance. The Keys Lake project, depending on whatever action you will take later in the agenda on that motion to reconsider, if that motion to reconsider is granted and it does show up on the, which would mean that if it's granted, it comes back before you for a hearing on second reading on February 5th, the same time that you have second reading on this. If you all approve that, they're asking for an exception to the moratorium. You all could grant an exception to that particular project because of the situation that it was in, because it's already been before you, if you so chose, or you could not. You could simply say, you need to come in for a waiver under the moratorium. So that's two ways that you could treat that particular application. It just depends on however you all would like to proceed with that. The last thing that I need to address with you all is in regards to the way this ordinance is drafted right now. It currently precludes any future land use map amendments or plan amendments in the comp plan that would be moving forward, that would be beyond the scope of 6 units to the acre. And this is a situation in which back in 2006, there were a couple of comprehensive plan amendments that proceeded that you all approved and that we transmitted to DCA. I'm specifically referring to a comprehensive plan amendment that created a new category called the mixed-use opportunity area. It was a mixed-use, and this is for the benefit of all the new council members as well. It was a mixed-use opportunity area that consisted of commercial, residential, some industrial. This was right at Lucy Street, or approximately 133 acres right around Lucy Street, and under that mixed-use opportunity area, there's a subsection called the Lucy Street Opportunity Area, and that's what I'm referring to. That comprised of 133 acres, and it laid out specific densities and intensities for commercial and residential. The residential assigned to that particular future land use designation was 743 dwelling units. Now, the base density within that comprehensive plan amendment allows for 15 units to the acre, and then you get 25 units to the acre as a bonus if you exceed if you exceed the minimum standards and you excel in excellence for doing a very exceeding beyond the city's urban design standards. As a discretionary bonus, you could get up to 25. The whole theory being that this was a very mixed-use and compact area and you were trying to do or facilitate a mixed use. On that as well, as part of that comprehensive plan, the state, the city also looks at whether or not there are adequate public facilities to service that new growth, that new intensity, that new residential density. And one of the, and I have to back up because this was a city-initiated comprehensive plan, but it was also being done in tandem with the Algers who own that property. The Algers had committed to fund a new interchange at Lucy Street, the land and the infrastructure. So that is part of this whole development process. That would need to be done in order for any of this to take shape, form, or fashion on that property. So that was approved by you all. It transmitted to DCA. DCA kicked it back because of some issues with our ear. So it's as though it never really happened and the state never really got it. So you're having to process it again this year. If you do not carve out an exception in this ordinance, which would be city-initiated comprehensive plan amendments, if you do not carve out an exception in this ordinance, that will not be able to move forward for a whole year. If you carve the exception out, your staff would be able to process it in the first cycle for 2008. So that's an important issue that I wanted you all to discuss this evening and give your staff some direction or us some direction in regards to, do you want to carve the exception out or not carve the exception out?
Mr. White, yeah, I remember this very specifically. In all fairness to the Algers, this was something the city initiated with the Algers, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Correct.
It was a city-initiated comprehensive land use change.
That is correct.
And I'm trying to go back to the vote on this. It was, I think it was unanimous because of am I correct on that? I'm trying to remember. I think it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I know it was a different time then, but the bottom line is the city went to them and asked them to do this, and it was a city-initiated project. So, and anyway, any comments? I just wanted to put that bit of history out there for council. That was a project that was completely initiated by the city, and the Algers had agreed to put on that turnpike extension. Correct?
Yes, Mayor, you're correct.
Yeah. So,
Mayor Bell?
Yes, Ms. Waldman.
I'm trying to remember too, because it was quite a while ago, and I remember we had a lot of discussion, and this is news to me tonight. So, are you saying then if we don't carve out a piece, or carve out a section structure, then they can't move forward with the turnpike?
The exception would be a very simple exception that we would just add to the list that you already have identified in the ordinance, and it would just be a line item that said city-initiated comprehensive plan amendments. And what that would do is that would allow any city-initiated comp plan amendment, this amendment, to move forward, because the allocated density for this particular acreage exceeds the 6 units to the acre, and that's what you're precluding. Anything moving forward that's above that, and this comprehensive plan is above that. Mm-hmm. So the way the ordinance is drafted right now, it would preclude that application from being able to move forward, even though it's the city's. We just say any future land use map amendments, whether it's applicant or whether it's city. So in this particular instance, you all had already decided upon it. It went to DCA and it got kicked back on a technicality. So we're having to process it all over again.
But it wouldn't have been. I'm sorry, Ms. Waldman.
Well, I agree. It's just a point that. It's hard for me, and I was there. Okay, so it's very difficult for people that maybe weren't at the council meetings.
If this gives you any,
but can I just say this? To me, it's imperative that we have this turnpike interchange, and we have to have it in order to move forward in the future with any endeavor that we do, commercial or anything else. We need that turnpike ramp. So, Mayor Bell, I don't know what I need to do, but I don't know how the motion would read, but I'm willing to make a motion to exclude just that.
Mayor Bell, I also have a question. Mr. White,
I have a tentative motion on the floor.
Well, do you mind if we hold that motion?
No
because
problem.
I'd like to add, I think there's one other project that actually should be in there as well.
Okay, no problem. I thought we were breaking it up. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Ms. Lobos?
So from what I hear tonight, what you're saying is the wording that we would use in the ordinance would be very specific so that this would be the only project that this would apply to?
Yes. We can make it any city initiated.
Yeah, we would come up with language that we would craft in this ordinance, or we would add to this ordinance, would only cover that particular land use map amendment which we've been discussing. There are no other projects that it would cover. It would only be for that particular city-initiated project, city-initiated comprehensive plan amendment.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, and may I ask one more question then? Does this change some of the language of the ordinance, or is it like an amendment added to the ordinance?
It doesn't change any of the language. We would just be adding language to the ordinance. So if you under, like, for instance, on page 6, if you would go to section 1B, the following categories of development orders shall be exempt from this moratorium. We would just add an item there that would say city-initiated comprehensive plan amendments would be exempt from the moratorium.
Madam Mayor?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can I just add one comment on Santiago Chimenea 1441 on behalf of the Alger family?
You may. Go right ahead.
We thank the Assistant City Attorney for bringing it up. We greatly appreciate it. We're now 1 year into a 4-year process and look forward to financing the Lucy Street interchange and be in construction a year from now, or 2 years from now, I'm sorry. My only problem with any city-initiated plan amendment is what happens relative to our proposed rezoning thereafter. Maybe there should be 2 exemptions, city-initiated plan amendments and any proposed development on the Lucy Street overlay area, similar to exemptions 8 and 9, so that not only does the city's plan amendment go through facilitating the interchange, but ultimately enabling us to rezone the property to PUD and being able to develop it. We're spending $9 million on the interchange. We don't want to get the plan amendment, spend $9 million, and then be in a predicament where we can't develop the property and get it rezoned to PUD.
That's a good point. Let me be frank with you on this, like I'm not in anything else, right? One of the reasons that I do believe that is entitled to have an exemption carved out for is because it went through the complete process. They've done everything they're supposed to do, and the only reason that it's back before us right now is because it was kicked back from DCI on a technicality, and it was the EAR report, the evaluation appraisal. So obviously that is why it's back before us. So that's why I believe that this merits another look, because not only was it in the pipeline, but they had done everything that they were supposed to do, and the only reason it's before us right now, right now, is because of just a minor technicality, and that's why I think it deserves another look-see. Mr. White, Ms. Kamali, what about what the gentleman has stated?
I just want to bring it to your attention that the whole package is going to come back before you again.
Okay.
So that part would be also included?
Yes.
The part you just stated. So it doesn't have to be 2 separate exemptions or 2 separate, okay.
Okay, thank you.
No. That's not correct. No.
It would have to be.
We would have to carve out an exception. This is just providing for the comprehensive plan amendment, the package that's coming, that would be allowed to be processed. That's got to come before you. It's got to go back to the Planning and Zoning Board. It's got to come back before you as a new council. There are plenty of things in there that you may or may not like. I don't know. You all will have to decide whether or not you want to approve it and transmit it to the Department of Community Affairs. Once it goes to the Department of Community Affairs, there is a time frame for them to review it. It gets kicked back to you. So you're looking at a couple of months. It's not going to, the rezoning that he's referring to is not going to happen right away. It may happen within the year. I can't tell you that, I don't know. But if so, there are certain zoning regulations that will need to be in place. Our code will need to be amended. So if that is the will, then we can certainly carve out an exception for that, but there are plenty of things for you all to consider that when it comes back for you all during the first cycle.
I think simply carving the exception out at this point would be quite appropriate, and not going any further with that. Would staff be in agreement with that? With that surmise that there's no need to go beyond that, because it is going to be coming back before us many more times.
Yes, it's definitely going to come back before you with complete package, with details. We can talk about every details as you ask us to change or revise, or anything that you want to have more information on.
Thank you. Ms. Waldman?
Yes, Mayor Bell, I'd just like to continue then with my motion to carve out an exception for the interchange. You can word it however you want to word it, but
I'd like to add to that, if it's okay with you. I have taken a look at the letters, and I've taken a look and actually met with staff, and I really, and especially since we're having a motion to reconsider, the one that's been before us so long ago and has gone through the process and basically paid the application fee, basically has gone through first reading and is only waiting on second reading is Keys Lake. And I really think Keys Lake should have an exception, because if there ever was a pipeline, this one was in it. Now, we're going to have a motion to reconsider, and that doesn't mean that we're going to give it, we're not, I know I'm lumping the two items together. It doesn't mean they're going to get the original zoning that they originally requested, but just to carve it out from the moratorium. They were truly in the pipeline, and they were here before us on second reading when we kicked it back. So I think that we should add Keys Lake along with the Alger piece. So Ms. Waldman is...
Well, I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure that if it's combined into one motion, if anything were to happen, would both entities be involved if one came back? So that's my only question. Should it be two motions, or should it be one? I have no problem adding it.
You could do it either way. I'd like some clarification on the first part of it, please. Which is, my understanding is that the motion on the Alger piece is to provide an exemption for city-initiated comprehensive plan amendments. That's what it's limited to. With respect to as to whether it would be in one motion or two, that's purely up to you. You could vote on them individually, or you could vote on them together.
Well, I thought it might be wiser to have it as one motion, because we're simply voting on the moratorium at this time, so we're voting on an exception for the moratorium, so we should go ahead. I thought we should just lump in together whatever we're carving out as an exception to the moratorium.
It's purely up to the...
Okay.
I have no problem. I have no problem with that, Mayor Bell. I just wanted to make sure we didn't have something come back and cause a problem.
Thank you, Ms. Waldman.
Mayor Bell, I do have a question, if I may. The Keys Lake exception, how would that be worded? Would it say there's an exception for Keys Lake property? Is it going to be mentioned by name? Because I do have a problem with that.
I think that we can certainly provide some language that would do it by classification versus name, and we can come up with that before second reading.
It's the San Remo Homes project.
I honestly, even though since you and I have had a conversation, I understand your concern about an individual project. The problem with not mentioning the project is that whatever language that we draft is going to be then open to interpretation with respect to other projects. And although I understand that you don't want from our previous conversation, that you have some concern about putting a particular, I think that if that's the project you mean to exempt, then that's the project you should exempt in this particular case for purposes of clarity. Otherwise, if we put some sort of general, anybody who was here on this day and was doing this, and other people could try to come in under that exception, no matter how carefully we draft it, there could be arguments. So I think if you mean to exempt that project, that you should exempt it by name in that particular case.
Well, Richard, like Mr. Weiss, what I said earlier is any property that we were meaning to exempt, I thought we had put the language in here to to provide for exemptions and waivers. I did not think that in addition to that we would need to list properties by name. And so what I was thinking back as to when we started talking about the moratorium and all the discussion that was going on as to what kind of properties we were looking to exempt, I thought that the wording in it already would allow for those properties. Now, I understand the first property we're talking about, the Alger property. I understand how that was not part of the original conversation, but now if we're going to start to talk about Keys Lake, then let's talk about San Remo, let's talk about all these other properties. Don't they already need an exemption by the wording in the ordinance? I mean, is it really necessary to have them listed by name?
They have the ability, not the comprehensive plan amendment, but the other ones have the ability under the ordinance to come in and apply for a waiver. And there's a vested rights provision, and then there's a waiver provision. And so the alternate to listing that particular project would be that they would come in and they would apply for a waiver under the general language of the ordinance. If you wanted to put a specific name in, you're free to do that, but they also have if you don't do that, they have the ability to come in under the waiver provision. So it's really up to you as to how you want to deal with it.
Thank you. I just would be more comfortable if we separate them because they're two very different properties.
Well, we certainly can do that.
Madam Mayor, if I may, just one point of clarification on the Alger. We appreciate staff's overture recommendation on the city-initiated plan amendments, but unless we add any proposed development, similar to 8 and 9, where you say any proposed development located within the boundaries of Southwest Neighborhood Master Plan or Northwest Neighborhood Overlay Area, unless you add any proposed development located within the Lucy Street overlay area, then we're in a predicament where we're financing or paying $9 million for a turnpike interchange without any assurance that we're actually going to be able to develop the property, and I would submit that the Algers are not willing to take that risk. So I think things got lost a little bit in the translation as to what we needed, not only the city-initiated plan amendment, but also a carve-out for the overlay. Otherwise, we can't do much with just the plan amendment unless we're able to rezone the property. And I don't believe the Alger family is going to take the risk of spending $9 million on an interchange without the assurance that ultimately it's going to come back before you on both the plan amendment and the rezoning, but that they can ultimately bring a rezoning in front of you. Now, as a practical matter, will we be here within the next 12 months on a rezoning? Probably not. But do they need that assurance to be able to front $9 million? Absolutely.
While staff is discussing that, I wanted to give a point of clarification. We have a list of pending residential projects, and in that list of that I had asked for a list of pending residential projects, the San Remo homes, the Keys Lake San Remo homes, Florida, they were the only ones that had actually gone out of first reading and that had come before us for second reading. The other ones were pending P&Z. So they hadn't really had the stake into it that the other ones had. And so this is why I brought this up. This is because they had really had a stake in it. Now, could we have carved out the exception within the moratorium? And I see what you're saying, why didn't we go ahead and carve out the exception within the moratorium itself and in the writing of the moratorium? But I think that that pretty much is a council's decision on how we proceed with that. And we certainly can have two motions, one on the Keys Lake. But I still maintain that we have a motion to reconsider before us tonight that will be approved or not approved, and that'll pretty much take care of that. But because of the fact that they had gone through the process and had, paid whatever fees that were supposed to be paid, and they were actually in second reading. So they truly, I don't want to play unfair to anybody that has gone through the whole entire process and even past first reading. I don't intend for the moratorium to be heavy-handed and unfair to those that truly had already been a part of the process. The others are just pending P&Z. There's not the stake in it that this San Remo Homes had. So I think I'm just trying to be very fair-minded here with this particular project.
Mayor Bill, may I ask a question?
Yes, and I would like clarification from staff on what was just stated by the Alger's attorney. We may be deferring this in about 2 minutes. Ms. Waldman?
Yes. There's been so much talk tonight
And I find it very confusing. I understand it, but I find it confusing. But I'm concerned with what Ms. Lobos brought up, and I believe it was Mr. Weiss that answered. You're saying that if we don't, because we've always named the project in whatever we do. You're saying if we don't name it, then what was your answer about waiver?
With respect to the San Remo project, you can accomplish what you can accomplish in exempting from the moratorium in two different ways. One way is to use some general language which sort of describes where they are in the process. The other way is to do it by naming them. What I was suggesting with respect to this particular case, that it would be that if you named the project, it would be very, very clear that that's exactly what you intended to do, and there would be no opportunity for anybody else to come in and argue that the general language applied to them. So in this particular case, if you want to exempt the project, our suggestion is that you name the project.
Okay, and I have a problem putting all this in one motion, but my motion's on the floor, and my motion is to name the project. Now, what you bring up to me is a very to me, it's so important, because I know that you're not going to build that interchange if you don't have some sort of solace that you're going to have the rezoning. So I don't know how staff, we need guidance here, but obviously there's a difference of opinion.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was trying to calculate. When we bring back this project to you, it has to go back to the first reading and second reading. Then we send the package to DCA. It takes DCA 6 days to review this project. Usually they do have some comments. They send it back to us. We need to revise it and send it back to them. And after it gets approved, we have to come back before you with the zoning changes. We need to change all our zoning before we specifically talk about that specific parcel. So there is a lot of steps before we get there, and most likely it's going to be at least 1 year before that process starts. But we will follow any direction you give us. Additionally, I have to say this interchange is part of the agreement with the Alger, and is like a concurrency for their project.
Yes. If I may,
Mayor Bell, if I may continue. So are you saying that you'd like to be removed from this motion if you do not have the second exemption to your rezoning?
No, Madam City Attorney. I think we're saying we appreciate the city-initiated plan amendment exemption. That's a nice one. We'll take that one. However, that doesn't quite get us there, because we're about to enter into a development agreement with the Florida Turnpike Interchange for the funding of the interchange project. And though as a practical matter we probably won't have the rezoning in front of you within that 12 months, I think what Sherry is saying is, so you don't run the risk of us coming before you the next 12 months, we do need that assurance, because we will not be sitting with FTE and with the city to negotiate a development agreement on the Turnpike unless you do a carve-out, just like you're doing for two other areas. We're not asking for anything special on the Lucy Street Opportunity Area.
Okay, let me do this. Let me add to my motion, and we'll put it on the floor. If I get a second, we'll vote it up, vote it down, whatever happens. But to go ahead and carve out the exemption for the interchange, carve out the exemption for the Alger's
Lucy Street overlay,
and Keys Lake. Got it?
Thank you, ma'am.
If I have a second, anyway. And Keys Lake.
I have a question for clarification.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Councilman Waldman. Mr. White and Ms. Kamali, you've mentioned that it's a package, and the package is presented before you. Doesn't the package include the overlay in St. Lucie, Lucy Street, or I don't understand what you refer to as the package?
Go ahead. Well, you have two different layers. You have the comprehensive plan amendments that have to go first, and that includes changing the actual color on the future land use map
for the Lucy Strait interchange area, but then also the rezoning will have to occur after that.
And that is then not part of this package?
It is not part of the comp plan package.
Okay. That's where my confusion, because I keep hearing package, and to me a package is a complete set or a complete program, but...
That's one of the reasons I think it's going to be a lengthier process. However, as a staff, I don't see any problem with what the applicant is asking. You know, if you ask the staff, I personally would recommend it. I don't know if our attorneys.
Did you say you personally do or don't recommend it?
I do recommend it because I honestly don't see any problem by the time the land use changes come back to us, by the time we go through the zoning change, before we can work on their specific project, would be at least 1 year, in my opinion.
Thank you. Mr. Ivey.
I think we're kicking around. I haven't heard anything to the contrary by the attorneys, but the language that they're asking for, I don't think there's a problem that we could put that in there and move this thing on.
Agreed.
I have a motion, Mayor.
Yeah, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Ms. Lobos?
I'm sorry, the motion is to Algiers plus Keys Lake, right?
And, yes, both Algiers concerns, both exceptions to Algiers and Keys Lake.
The motion for clarification would be that we add an exception for the Keys Lake project, San Remo Homes, that we have an exception for city-initiated comprehensive plan amendments, and that you have an exemption for any development or any rezoning site plans or any development that would be in the Lucy Street Overlay District in that area.
Yes.
And that would cover...
And the Lucy Street Overlay District was also city-initiated?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Is that good for the applicant?
It sure is. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Staff and thanks to Ms. Waldman and the mayor. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any further comments or questions from council? Any comments or questions from the audience? Open up the floor for public comment.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Jerry Knight. I'm here on behalf of the Portofino Park project, and you received a letter today, I hope, from Mr. Richard Coker on behalf of the applicant, or the owner of the property, Prime Home Builders. And Mr. Coker couldn't be here tonight, but so I'm kind of substituting, pinch hitting for him. With me tonight is Larry Abbo, sitting in the back, who is the president of Prime Home Builders. I'll try to be brief, but to explain what this project has been through in the last 2 years, trying to get through the process of the city was not brief. And what has happened over the time is that they went through a number of different processes. They started out trying to be a PUD in 2004. The comp plan was amended in 2005. They worked on the PUD ordinance with the city in 2005 to allow this PUD on 20 acres. And in June of 2006, the city council actually approved a sketch plan for the PUD, allowing 204 units on 20 acres. Subsequently, the city has decided not to allow density credit for the commercial portion of this property, 6.7 acres, I believe, and just to allow it on the residential portion and on 13.6 acres. So the applicant actually reduced his density down to 136 units from 204. They then applied for site plan approval in December of 2006. So they have been in process at the city since December of 2006 on this site plan for this specific project.
But you were denied by P&Z.
We went through DRC all last summer, came out of that process in September of 2007, and then went to P&Z with a staff recommendation for approval, got a vote of 2 to 3 from the Planning and Zoning Board. And we wanted to come before you City Council for first reading, a second reading, but we've been prevented from doing that as a result of this moratorium proposal. The moratorium, as I read your ordinance, was proposed on November the 13th of 2007. We actually have been in, as I said, process with this specific application since December of 2006. And in going through the process back to day one, they've reduced their density to address the concerns of the city. They've been responsive and cooperative with the city. They've worked their way through the city process since 2004, and to impose the moratorium on them at this point and to stop their project when it is finally ready to come before the City Council for a vote up or down. You can vote it up or down. You obviously have the right to do that. But to stop them from coming to the City Council at this point after going through all that process would, in our view, be inequitable and put an undue burden on this project and would frustrate their investment-backed expectations. We submit that since this application was pending before you proposed this moratorium, that you ought to go ahead and consider it. Mr. Coker cited several cases in his letter. I would also cite the Smith versus City of Clearwater case and the City of Margate versus Amico case, which I'm sure the city attorney is familiar with. It is, and I'll provide him those cases, which basically say that if an application is in process before something like this is proposed, then the application ought to be allowed to move forward for a vote. Again, this applicant has revised his application, has revised his proposal to accommodate the wishes of the city, to further delay his project until the moratorium is over, or to force him to go through the waiver or vested rights process that you have in your ordinance, in our view, would be unjust and inequitable. We're requesting the City Council tonight to allow this project to come forward to the City Council for a vote up or down without having to be subject to the moratorium or to go through the waiver or vested rights provision process under your ordinance. We think, again, this would be the equitable thing to do under the circumstances involving this particular project. So we'd ask for your favorable consideration on this. I have been sitting here listening tonight, and I've heard 3 projects possibly that are in similar situations. So it's not like you're opening the door, or you're opening the floodgates, and you're going to get a bunch of applications coming forward. This is a project for 136 units that potentially could lose 52 units if the 6 units an acre is applied to this project. It's now at 10 units an acre, which would basically make this project unfeasible, and it's going forward financially. So again, we ask your favorable consideration on this request. We think it's a fair thing to do, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Let me clarify something with you there. When you originally referred to the original 200 plus that you were allowed, that was something that I had never agreed upon. That was when the city was doing a density averaging, if you will, and you were allowed, which I totally disagree with, you were allowed to take the, if I'm remembering correctly, and staff correct me if I'm wrong, because this was a long time ago, but I remember this, the commercial component that was in the front part that faced Campbell Drive, you were allowed to take all of the acreage that was the commercial portion and add that density that you would have had if you would have built residential, and you were able to add that to the residential portion, which that was that density average, which I totally opposed. So then it went down to the 136 units, but we really are, and I understand your point, but we really are dealing with. I mean, quite frankly, it would be nice just to not exempt anybody, but that wouldn't be fair-minded. But in these cases, you have P&Z denied pending council concurrency application January 19th, DRC 61407 and 91307, August resubmitted and submitted again in October. So there was big gaps in time in your own submissions, and then you had a denial. And you had a denial in P&Z. So I don't feel as vested as Portobello and Portofino are as vested as something that's already gone through complete approval process and is kicked back on a technicality, or one that had actually been approved on a first reading. So, whether I like the way it was approved or not, it was. So trying to be even-handed here, I do think that the waiver process is in place for you, but on this I would also like to hear from staff. Please help me if I'm missing something.
No, Mayor, every information that you just speak about was perfectly correct. This project was originally came to us, to the city, as with the Sunny Lee project in the front as one parcel. Then it was divided, and they decided that the commercial part goes separately from residential, which the commercial already has the site plan approval. So this is the residential in the back. If you remember, there was some issue regarding the concurrency, and they were going to be part of the DDR project, and then they decided to break down and go separately. And the first time they came to us in January of 2007 with the concurrency application.
Mayor Bell, may I ask a question?
Yes, Ms. Waldman, please.
Thank you. This is just my opinion, but I think it might be wise for us to just defer this application, because you hand us 4 pages of a letter tonight. Right. I have not had time. Yeah. I mean, I'm listening to you and I'm trying to read, and I can't take away from another person's project to read this while they're up there talking to us. So I think it might just be wise just to not include them in it right now, but just defer it for right now so that we'll have time to go back to staff. I want to read the minutes from P&Z again. I don't have any of that here. I don't have anything. So I'm not saying include you right now, but give us a chance, or give me a chance, to familiarize myself and see what you've changed, because you say you have made significant changes.
Over the life of this project, since its original proposal back in 2004, we've gone through a number of iterations, and in fact, as I indicated earlier, there was an approval of a PUD sketch plan for this project for 204 units. We're now down to 136. And if we lose any more, we're going to be in real trouble.
But unfortunately, we have seen so many projects over the past few years that it's very hard for me, and especially I'm sure the new council members, to even know what you're talking about. And so that would be my suggestion. I know there's a motion already on the floor, but for the others, but I would feel better just deferring it and giving us a chance to conference with our staff and
Ms. Waldman, I think that's a fabulous idea. And as a matter of fact, I think it's not a bad idea. But what's happening here and what you're presenting to us tonight is really the waiver process. And what's happening here could have very easily been presented in a waiver process. So I think it would basically, I know you're trying to be exempted from the waiver process, and we've kind of opened the barn door, if you will, with these 2 other carved-out exceptions. And so I see your point, even though I think they're completely different. So, Ms. Waldman, would you like to move deferral of the this complete item?
No, I'd like to keep my motion on the floor for the other 3.
But the moratorium will be approved. So, with only those exceptions, so you either are going to have to defer the whole item, unless am I correct?
Yeah. You could do, it is first reading, so you could do you can defer the entire first reading, or you could pass the item on first reading with the original motion was made, and get a recommendation for staff as to, on second reading, whether you should not act on his suggestion at the moment. Ask for a recommendation of staff when it comes back to you on second reading, to then have a recommendation as to whether their project should be exempted or how staff feels about it. So that would be to pass Mrs. Waldman's first motion, which dealt with the 2 projects. That would be an amendment to the ordinance. Pass the ordinance on first reading, and just at this point, just ask staff to give you a report on second reading when it comes back on this gentleman's project.
Yeah, and we would like a recommendation from staff. We would like an analysis and a recommendation and the letters in advance, which we now have.
We will do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further comments from the public?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, city staff, and the members of the public. My name is Michael Taylor, and I'm with Mercedes Homes. We also have Juan Jimenez from Kinley Horn Associates, who is our engineer and consultant. As probably many of you are well aware, Mercedes Homes owns an 82-acre parcel on the southwest corner of Southwest 320th, which is Maury Drive, and Southwest 152nd Avenue, which is Kingman Road. We respectively request as well to be excluded from this moratorium. What I'd like to do is sort of give you a little bit of a history of the project. Back in early 2006, we paid $21,640,000 for the property. As of yesterday, we've invested $26,018,000, including the work done. We had a PUD sketch approval in December of 2005. We've done topographical surveys, geotech reports, traffic studies, various revisions of the traffic studies each time our site plan was altered. We've done site plan studies, our engineering, civil engineering design. We had a long, painstaking process of traffic concurrency work with the city, consultants and a group of developers, including Portofino and DDR, and that actually started in January of '06.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but we didn't even receive any information on Mercedes Homes, and I'm going to possibly ask staff for recommendation on this as well, and wait until second hearing like we just did with the previous. There's just no way that we can make any determination with the information you're giving us now, and we haven't had an opportunity to look at any of this. So I'm going to respectfully request for staff to give us a recommendation, get the information ready for us so we can take a look at this in second reading.
In other words, it looks like council's not going to move forward with any further exceptions on first reading. You're going to have to compel staff to bring back a report to us that would be favorable towards you. But at this point, in this council tonight, we are not going to we're not going to carve out any further exceptions.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you for consideration.
Ms. Batiste.
Good evening, Lila Batiste and Juan Mayo with the law firm of Holland & Knight. On behalf of Portobello Estates, LLC, which is the owner of 9.21-acre parcel located at approximately Southwest 320th Street and Southwest 160th Avenue, we too are requesting that the property be exempt from the moratorium on the basis that the development of the property has been under the city's consideration for nearly 2 years, and also that principles of equity and fairness would dictate that the pending zoning application be permitted to go forward to the council.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor. I am going to, again, ask staff to come back with a recommendation.
Ms. Batiste, we will give you the same request. You meet with staff and you plead your case before staff and let them bring a recommendation back to us towards concerning Portobello.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, maybe I should ask if there's any further comments from council. Any further comments from council? Questions? Does anybody have questions for anybody that spoke? Okay. Close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
First, we need, Madam, we need a roll call on the amendment, which Ms. Walden made, and then on the motion as amended. So this would be a roll call on the amendment.
To do is,
to add
Councilwoman Waldman,
to add the three items, the city-initiated amendment and the other two.
Okay.
It's on the amendment.
Okay. All right, so this motion is for the amendment. Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
And this one is for the actual motion.
The motion as amended, right.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item.
Yes, moving on to tab 22. Tab 22 is an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the city comprehensive plan by amending the public school facilities, intergovernmental coordination, and capital improvements elements in order to meet the state mandated requirements of public school concurrency, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? Open the public hearing. Any comments from the public? Close public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to tab 23. Tab 23 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the amended and restated interlocal agreement for public school facility planning in Miami-Dade County, authorizing the city manager to enter into this amended and restated interlocal agreement, and providing for an effective date.
I move. I second. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? Open the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the public? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman? Yes. Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Tab 24 is a motion to reconsider public hearing 2006-70, Keys Lake rezoning, tenants of plat, and site plan approval.
I'll move it.
I'll second. It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Burgess?
This was brought up at our last meeting in December under some conditions at the end of the evening, and I just wanted to bring it back up tonight and not say that whether I'm in favor or not, but I think that these applicants, as was stated earlier tonight, have been through a long process. They tried to come back to us at the one meeting there after we had done the final vote and changed things, and I just want to give them an opportunity for us to reconsider what they were trying to do that night and see if it's something that we can work with or not work with. And that's all I'm saying with when I made this motion for reconsideration.
Any further comments from council?
I have, Madam Mayor, I have actually had several meetings and conversations with not only Mr. Goldo, but as well as with Layla, who has spoken so eloquently this evening. A lot of the things that were brought up to my attention as far as the area is concerned, it is my understanding that the request is to go from a 7.5 unit per acre to an 8 unit per acre, which basically represents 12 units total in the increase. These developers, if you recall, the layout of the actual plan is something that is quite different looking when you refer to a townhouse. These really look like single-family homes. Not only that, the properties around this particular property, particularly across the street, there's a property that has been approved by Florida City at 15 units per acre, not out of our control, but other homestead properties are approved at 9 units per acre, and this group of developers has really tried to work with the city and has been in the process of working with us for quite some time, as you acknowledged earlier as well. You know, it will offset their cost, and after having seen the study of what the traffic impacts will be just by these 12 units, I too would like to have a discussion and to really see how council feels about adding just these 12 units.
Thank you, Ms. Sierra.
Madam Mayor, if I could just comment procedurally on what this would do. In the event that this would pass this evening, it would not be a substantive conversation regarding whether you want to approve or disapprove. All this would do are there 4 votes on the council, and this would then be, because it's quasi-judicial, would be re-advertised, and it would show up on your next agenda, and the motion would sit as if it had not been voted on before. Okay. So that's the purpose of this, just to determine whether there's an interest of council to do that. That's all it would accomplish this evening.
And in giving a bit of history on this was approved basically at the final meeting before the elections, and then it was approved on first reading, and then when it came back before second reading, we actually had an item where we rezoned it, and it was rezoned subject to the vice mayor made the motion. And it was peculiar to get a 7.5. Usually you get 7, 8, 9, 10. But this project had originally been passed under the 10 units per acre, and we were rejecting that. And I would consider to reject that. But because it had been approved on first reading, there were some issues there, and there could have been some legal issues, but our very astute attorneys handled this brilliantly, I think. And by the way, if you, Vice Mayor, if you would have offered it at 8 units to the acre that night, I would have agreed to it, but I certainly didn't want to undermine your motion.
You always got to start low.
I didn't want to undermine your motion because we were going from 10 to 8, and we were forcing this developer to acquiesce to something that had already been approved on first reading. So I certainly am okay with the motion to reconsider on this project because it had been approved at first reading, even though I didn't like the way it was approved, and I still maintain I don't like the way it was approved. The fact is it did go through the process, and it was. So I would like to put this baby to bed. So this is one that I am okay with a motion to reconsider, especially since it's only 0.5 and we're talking about 12 units. And we've gone from the 10 down to the 8. We've not gone upwards, so we're still on the downward trend on this one. So this is one I would have to agree with, and like I said, that night I would have been okay with it that night because we were going downward and we were not going to accept the 10 units to the acre. And I think we are sending a message here tonight that we are looking very stridently at high-density projects at this point, and we have to be very, very careful on what we do in the future. In fact, I'm kind of surprised, if you will, to be very blunt, I'm very surprised that people still want to build townhouse, this continual townhouse component. It still kind of surprises me. But I agree with Ms. Sierra and I agree with Mr. Burgess on this. So I'd like to get this one finished, so I agree with the motion to reconsider.
Mayor, just for those people that are out there wondering, this project started out at 255 units, or 256 units, I believe, and we okayed them down to 188, and they're coming back requesting that we take it up to 200, for those that are wondering about the exact numbers.
It's down 56 units.
Right. Mayor Bill, may I just add one thing?
Councilwoman Walden?
History is that this property was zoned industrial, and they went through all the hoops and bells, and it was a pain, but they did what the city asked them to do. So I agree, I had no problem approving them at the last time it was brought up, the last meeting, so I can support it. I mean, we could have had a slaughterhouse there, you know, I mean, that's under the code, so think about it.
Any further comments from council?
Yes, Mayor Bell, if I may.
Ms. Lobos.
I also met with Ms. Batiste and heard the same arguments of what a difference it would mean cost-wise, and I explained to her that I was not trying to be sympathetic to the developers. I was not going to come up to the dais and speak of the cost to the developer, because that's really not who I'm representing. I really wanted to know what the cost would be in turn to the residents, not only in the cost of the homes, but what it be to our community. Now, I am going to support this because the 7.5 was reached really as a middle ground. Someone said 7, someone said 8. Vice Mayor Burgess proposed 7.5. So there really wasn't a discussion of what difference it would be between 7.5 and 8. I just wanted to make clear that this talk of cost to the developers really does not make a difference with me. 12 townhomes is really something the developer can absorb, especially a development of this magnitude. This is not something that we're interested in listening to. So I will support it just because of how 7.5 was reached at a prior meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Lobos, and I would agree, and I kind of would admonish our developers' representatives here tonight, the attorneys that are representing their client, that when you stand before us and you tell us the cost that you paid for a particular piece of land, I don't care what you paid for that piece of land. I don't really care. My concern as well, and Ms. Lobos, I completely agree with you, at the end of the day, it's the citizens of Homestead, and but I do have to say I am concerned with the end product as well, and this is a nice end product. And because of how it was done, I agree with that. And like I said, I didn't want to rain on Mr. Burgess's parade on one of his very first motions, so I was really deferring. So I'm okay with it. So thank you very much. Any comment from the public? I'd like to open the public comment this time.
I'm sure you don't want to hear much from me, but one of my old I just want to thank you for even bringing this forward, and we look forward, if the motion passes, to make a presentation in February. Thank you.
You're welcome. And this will go back on the agenda again under quasi-judicial items, so there will be more discussion on this item as well. Thank you very much. I'll close public comment this time. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. We now open the floor to public comment.
I'd just like to thank the City Council for their consideration this evening. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. On behalf. You're welcome. Ms. Helms.
Thanks, Mayor, City Council. Jen Helms, 166 Northwest 19th Street. I'm here with you tonight to remind you of the 25th Annual Rotary Fundraiser and Auction Dinner coming up. It's Friday, February 1st at 6:30 at the Harrisfield Pavilion. Knock on wood, right, Mr. Manager?
We're going to be here.
This year, we do a live auction in addition to a silent auction, and we have a prime rib dinner. I wanted to invite the mayor, council members, and the public. The dinner is $25. It is a prime rib dinner, and all of the food is prepared either by our club or the Women's Club of Homestead. Also, we have a very interesting raffle going on this year. We are raffling off a 2002 Hughes Red Fisher boat. It's an 18-foot Hughes boat. Tickets are $50 a piece or 5 for $200. We're only going to sell 1,000. So the winner does not have to be present. It comes with a trailer, the 2002 boat. It's powered by a 115 horsepower Yamaha engine. It's a great steal, and all of the proceeds for this are going to benefit our scholarship program. So we welcome you all out. I'll be here for a few minutes afterwards if you wanted to buy a ticket, or if anybody wanted to contact me about purchasing a ticket. My number's 305-248-1488. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen, very much. Mr. Powell.
Hi, Ed Powell, 2274 Southeast 27th Drive. And I just want to say, Jen, I did buy 5 of your tickets, so I'm hoping to win the boat in that raffle. Just a comment with the Rotary's auction, and that function's been going forever. And my wife happens to be Rotarian in a different chapter. But that auction is one of the most exciting events in town, very popular, supported. I really like it. I hope everybody comes out for it. And I put on my other hat, I am wearing the Chamber of Commerce logo, and I'm an ambassador for the Chamber, and I do the membership chair for the Chamber. And we are having, if the camera wants to zoom in, the Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring its 14th annual chili cook-off and outhouse race. It's presented by the Chamber of Commerce. It's held at the, can we get it? It's held at the Prime Outlets in Florida City, and it's going to be Saturday, February the 2nd, from noon to 4 o'clock. We're going to have karaoke, we have the chili cooks, we have tomato races, outhouse races, we're going to have a putting contest, lots of fun. And I just want to announce that Mayor Bell and her assistants are going to be participants in the chili cook-off.
That's
right. So what we'd like to do is encourage any organization to join in and be competition to the city mayor and the council. Last year we had probably 25 cooks. The year before about 36. But the more the merrier, and we're looking forward to you out there on February 2nd. Thank you.
Yes, we're going to have the mayor and council. We will be out there with the mayor's chili. So
there you go.
We have to come out and taste 3-alarm chili, 4-alarm chili. So. Mr. Sullivan. He's a new great-grandfather, by the way.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. I wish the mayor had prefaced that by saying he's a very young-looking great-grandfather.
Oh, but Kevin, they already know that.
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court. I'm here tonight speaking as a very thankful resident of the East Side. The long-awaited temporary sidewalk has been worked on. It's in fact in place. I'd like to thank Councilman Burgess and Mayor Bell for their help in this matter, and whoever the city staff.
I know there was a lot of workers out there. I didn't see anybody with ties on, so I'm assuming it's just the workers that were doing the work. But thanks again for taking care of the situation. And I guess the old adage, good things come to those who wait. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Business from the city manager.
Mayor, only one thing I'd like to announce. We have addition to our portrait gallery here, which is the
I thought that looked familiar.
Has arrived. So anyone else to see it, it's very good. Other than that,
yeah, it's the first picture of the mayor with flowers in the background. Thank you. Thank you very much. Councilwoman Sierra.
Thank you, Mayor Bell. I would like to announce that our Education Committee, now that it's been newly approved at 15 members, I do have a total of 29 applications for these 15 memberships. The enthusiasm that I'm finding throughout the city is amazing. And as Councilwoman Lobos mentioned earlier, wherever I go, Education Committee I talk about, and try to get as many people as I can to commit to this committee. Now, you might think, well, you have 29 applications and only 15 memberships, but luckily through the guidance of Mr. Wise, we've come up with a second type of membership for this Education Committee. We will have the 15 voting members, but we will also have a total of 15 advisory members. Now, these members will not be voting on any of the issues, but they will be available to work in different subcommittees within the Education Committee. Very exciting meeting this morning with the district as far as mentoring programs. We definitely, like you heard earlier, Lowe's has partnered with the Education Committee as a business partner in reference to mentoring, and I'm looking for the chambers to help me try to get some more businesses out there to partner with us. One of the websites that I did want to mention that I found out about this week that's also related to education is called DonorsChoose.org. This is a website where teachers and administrators can go online and put in requests for their schools. What I did as a family, I committed $50 a month, and my children and I go online and we look for different teachers and what their needs are, and you go in and you apply whatever monies you have available to be able to fund these special projects by teachers. The only thing that saddens me is that when I went in looking for teachers, that in the Homestead area, we only had one teacher that was requesting anything, and I know there's more need out there. So through the help with my Education Committee, I'm getting the word out to the teachers in Homestead and administrators so they can go in there and put in different projects that they need funding for. I also have had an opportunity, I just realized everything I'm going to talk about is education, sorry. Centro Campesino and En Familia had an opportunity to get to know these centers. These are amazing resources that we have here within our own community, which I'm happy to say that we will have one member from each of these beautiful organizations partner with us in the Education Committee. And lastly, I would like to say that I thank the city staff for having put together such an incredible Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast. What an amazing experience that was for me, as well as the parade. So I thank you and I applaud you, because I know that that takes a lot of work to get that together. And that does it for me.
Thank you, Councilwoman Sierra. Councilwoman Waldman.
Thank you, Mayor Bell. I'm going to try to condense this. Since we haven't really seen each other since before Christmas at a council meeting, I just wanted to say that I hope you enjoyed your holidays. I know I was very busy distributing toys throughout the holidays, many, many, many toys. I think I'm going to have to just get me an elf costume for next year, because I felt like the elf. We attended many, many openings, ribbon cuttings. One of my most thrilling moments was the opening of the Snoozlin Room at Neva King Cooper School. Neva King Cooper, Monsieur, so you know, it's a well, I'm sure you do know already, it's a school for the profoundly special needs child. And the school board did not have enough money to provide them with what is called a Snoozlin Room. The Snoozlin Room is something that was discovered in the Scandinavian countries, and it's a room of tranquility. It's a room with textures, music, all different types of sound effects and lighting. And it's for the children when they're just stressed out or they just need to relax, that they can go into this room and they can find their inner self and they can calm down. Being a grandmother of an autistic child, I can tell you that is so important. I mean, we do the techniques of brushing, trying to calm. You know, it's a technique where they brush the arm, and some days it just works and some days it doesn't work. But the school was so grateful. They have massage chairs there. They have places for the wheelchairs just to scoot right into, and the children to fit into the chairs. But they came to us came to me through the Little Angels. So we were able to give them $7,000, and we were able to build that room for them. And it was so touching because my little goddaughter, who passed away just recently, actually the night after the election, she was a student at that school. So I asked the principal, I asked Dr. Fernandez if we could name it Katie's Place, and we did. And we cut the ribbon, and it was Katie's Place. And it was so special because all the kids that made halos with the pipe cleaners and had them on, and they had wings on their wheelchair. So it was just a very special day for all of us, and we're so happy that we were able to do that. And it will touch thousands and thousands of children over the years. So it was just exciting that it was my goddaughter that we were able to do something with. I missed for the first time in 6 years the Martin Luther King breakfast due to work conflicts. I had clients fly in a day early, and so I'm so sorry I missed it. I did hear it was just beautiful, and all the hard work that our staff does. I don't think, and the Human Relations Board, I don't think anybody realizes that it's through their guidance that this happens. But the parade was magnificent as well. I think it was bigger than ever before. More people out, more kids out, and it was just great. My exciting news tonight is, I announced it at the Cal meeting, but it's the inaugural ride for the Trailway. And Mr. Tom Burton, he took the challenge when we were talking about it a couple of months ago at the council meeting. He's the president of the Everglades Bicycles Club, and he put together a 42-mile ride. It's going to be a fat tire ride because we don't have asphalt or anything to ride on except terrain, but and for me it'll be a fat seat ride because it's 42 miles is a long ways. I don't know how long I'll go, but there will be a 17-mile ride. There'll be a 24-mile ride which will center in the middle of downtown. And then there'll be the 42-mile ride, which will extend from Biscayne National Park to Everglades National Park. And that's going to be a milestone. So we're going to have a nice, I invite council to come out at 9 a.m. to join me in sending off the riders. Sending off the riders. But we'll meet at Everglades National Park and the Visitor Center, and that's where we'll start. And then, as I said, we'll have routes so that you can stop at 17 miles or 24 miles, or you can go the distance and do the 42 miles. I'd like for everyone to save the date of March 15th. That's our Little Angels Casino night, which is going to be at Keys Gate Country Club. It's going to be, I hope, a very successful event, as it always has been. And my condolences to Kurt and his family with Mr. Shekels passing away. Milestone in the community. He's just a wonderful guy, and my condolences. And I'd like to wish all of you a happy and healthy and prosperous New Year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Vice Mayor Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to thank staff, Ms. Fuller, Chairwoman of the Human Relations Board, and especially Lieutenant Colonel Williams, who was quite an inspirational man that came and spoke at the Martin Luther King breakfast. He was 91 years old, talked eloquently without any notes or anything, and recalled all of his past days of coming up, and he was a Tuskegee Airman, one of the few. I'm not sure how many remaining there are, but I would have to say there's not many. And it was quite an inspiration to see him and listen to him speak at that breakfast. So that was a thank you, and I got to do the notes while you were up in Washington. So thank you very much for that. As I spoke at the cow, I did a ride along and spoke of earlier. I did a ride along with the police force the other, I guess 2 weeks ago now, and gained quite a bit more respect for what they have to put up with every night. And I told the chief the other night, he's got some fine young men that I met that night, and Elvis Ackerman, the fellow that I rode along with, was very hospitable, and I would recommend it to anybody else to go out and do it and see what these gentlemen and ladies put themselves through on a daily basis. It's when you go in somewhere, it's scary. You don't know what you're going to face. And he's like, you can get out of the car when you want to anytime. And I'm like, I'll probably sit here till we see what's happening. But it was quite a pleasure to go out and see how, like the Officer Green spoke of earlier, how they are a family and how they look out for one another. And that's who they eat dinner with most nights. So I see the camaraderie and how it's built. Thank the mayor for letting me give Officer Green the award earlier tonight. It's quite an honor to get to give that away to somebody, especially somebody that works as hard as they do around here for us. Looking forward to Mardi Gras. I haven't heard anybody else mention that, but we have the big Mardi Gras come up on February the 2nd, celebration downtown. Looking forward to going down and experiencing that for my first time this year. And at our last meeting, my passion for this job, I just want to say to the mayor that I will try to keep my passion in check and make sure that I follow Robert's rules in the future, and hope that that's all that we need to say about what was done in the past, and move forward with positive thoughts and make everything come together for this city so that we're one as a whole and that we don't have any more problems.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilwoman Lobos?
Well, I'd like to speak about a lesser-known holiday that happened last week. It was Arbor Day last Thursday, and the South Florida Water Management District, along with their mobile irrigation lab, presented to 4 schools. Commissioner Moss presented a proclamation, and therefore the City of Homestead could not be excluded. I went on behalf of the City of Homestead and presented to these students, and I'd just like to thank Lillian and Patty. We got there. I saw that Commissioner Moss had a proclamation to give to each school, and I thought, well, what is the City of Homestead going to do? So I did trivia questions, and to 5 students from each of the schools, I told them that I would come back tomorrow morning and hand deliver some goodies for them. So we're going to come through with that, and they were very excited. I'd like to say that we were the highlight of the event. It was West Homestead Elementary, Laura Saunders, and Rosa Parks Charter School. They were very excited to see us there. Also, just real quick about Martin Luther King weekend, very inspiring weekend. I was also very impressed with the breakfast, Lieutenant Colonel Williams, and I did hear someone say that it gets better every year. So I did not attend last year, but I'm glad to hear that and look forward to next year's. Also with Councilman Sierra, and actually, I don't know if Councilman McCormick made it, but we were at Harris Field and saw Battle of the Bands, and that was quite exciting for me. But one of the things that did stick out in my mind is every one of the schools that came out, Councilwoman Sierra told me to grade for the school. It was disappointing to see that a lot of F schools were there. I could not believe that the level of talent with these instruments, and to see these students out there and then think about the kind of education that they're getting in the schools that they attend. So it's saddened, but saw that there is talent within these schools, so there is hope that we can definitely do something to turn around these schools. As I meet different employees throughout the city, I keep hearing, when are you going to come visit us? And I think that someone, a prior council person, set a precedent for us being present at every department. So I'm glad to announce that I will be following in Mayor Bell's footsteps, and I will be also doing once a month working days so that I may be able to visit and spend a whole day with each of the departments within the cities. Just to close out this weekend, like Vice Mayor said, Vice Mayor Burgess, Councilwoman Sierra, Councilman McCormick, and I will be away in Gainesville, so the city will be a little bit quiet this weekend, with the exception of the rodeo weekend, and I'm looking forward to really getting a lot out of that newly elected training conference that is being held there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lobos. And one you didn't mention, but the City of Homestead sponsored the trees at West Homestead Elementary School. So, thank you. And I'm glad you're going to be doing the work days. I'm glad. You learn a lot by visiting every department. You really learn those departments, and then when you sit up here, it gives you a different perspective on what you're voting on. Councilman McCormick.
Yes, I would like to start off by saying I would like the Human Relations Board to put on a wonderful event for Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. The breakfast, it was a smash. I enjoyed myself greatly. Also, I would like to, I met with Mr. Ivey, Mr. Shahada, and also Mr. Wick about some issues in the Southwest area, So I hope that I'll be getting a word back very soon about some resolving issues that we had over there. Saturday during the parade, I enjoyed myself. It was a very wonderful event. It was a large turnout, but I was a bit disappointed because, as history has had it, the parade usually one year it goes to Lauren Roberts Park, next year it goes to Roby George Park. But for some reason, they went to Lauren Roberts Park twice. So I don't know if that's a new format or if it was just a technicality or some kind of mix-up. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to the parade going to Roby George Park next year. A lot of people had questions on why they switch. Well, why didn't they switch parks? Neither was supposed to. And also, I met with, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun on this, but I met with all the candidates, well, not all of them, but I met with most of the candidates for the vacancy in the Northwest section, or the Northwest area. And everybody interviewed well, and this is a very tough decision, and now I really understand what Mayor Bell went through in that process. And as a result of the interviews and meeting with the candidates, I don't know if, like I said, I'm jumping the gun, but I would like to bring a motion forward that we as council, we reconsider the nomination of Mr. Tim Nelson that was brought upon by Mayor Bell.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick. That is an appropriate motion. We need to have a second to that motion.
I second it.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick, for that motion. There's been a motion, and it's been properly moved and seconded. Comments or questions from council? I'm a little struck. Thank you. Comments or questions? Thank you, Mr. McCormick, for taking the time to interview. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Sorry. Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman? No. Vice Mayor Burgess?
No.
Councilwoman Lobos? Yes. Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And now we need to have them. And now we need to. Thank you. And now we need to put the name of Mr. Tim Nelson back on the floor. So his name is back on the floor. And now we need to have a vote on his name. Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Waldman?
Mr. Mayor, we just need actually the motion is back on the floor. It's been seconded.
Yes.
Sorry, you're right. Go ahead.
Yes.
May I ask for clarification, Mayor?
Certainly.
The motion that we just voted on was for the reconsideration, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so now the motion that was made by Ms. Lobos? Who was it made? I'm sorry. Oh, it was maybe you. That is for the actual nomination, correct?
Yes, of Tim Nelson.
Okay. Can I just say one thing, Mayor Bell?
Yes.
This is so hard because, Mr. Nelson, I like you, I care for you. I just didn't find you the most qualified person in the group. And I interviewed as well, and I think everybody else did. So my vote tonight has nothing to do with our feelings towards your family, my family. I just have to do what I feel is the right thing for the city. So please understand that.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Okay, I'll repeat, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Waldman?
No.
Vice Mayor Burgess? No. Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Welcome, Councilman. You'll be sworn in very soon. Thank you so much. Boy, what a late Christmas present. Thank you so much, Mr. McCormick. And I think basically I should probably. I'm sorry, Mr. McCormick. Go ahead. I'm just excited.
Yeah, based on, like I say, based on the interviews, he was the most sincere and the most dedicated to what he had to do. And the question that I asked, he seemed like he had the most willing to do what needed to be done. And as far as the experience, I had to take sides with him based on the fact that I'm very inexperienced. So I understood, and he was very honest in wanting to be in that position. And like I said, I felt that he had nothing to gain other than wanting to help the community. So that was why he was my choice.
Thank you so much, Mr. McCormick, and I felt exactly that same way. And so I just really want to thank you very much and tell you how much I appreciate that. And I think the process actually got started, I will have to say, from Ms. Waldman's letter and asking for encouraging the people to interview. So I think that by Ms. Waldman encouraging everybody to interview is actually the impetus for Mr. McCormick. So I guess I need to say thank you to Ms. Waldman.
Well, no problem. I thought it was very important.
So that was great. So thank you very much.
I thought it was very important that we all had a chance to meet each candidate, and I think most of us did.
Thank you.
I think of us did. And like I said, congratulations, Tim. I look forward to working with you.
Well, I guess I don't need to discuss that. That's nice. Vacancy announcements. We have a vacancy on the Historic Preservation Board, and we have 2 vacancies on the Planning and Zoning Board. Now, I would like some of those, if any of those who applied for the Northwest seat would like to go ahead and put their application in, I must get these planning and zoning vacancies filled quickly. But the reason I actually left them open was to defer to those candidates who had put their application in for the Northwest seat, because I thought maybe they would like to put their application in for planning and zoning. So I did that actually out of consideration for the other candidates for the Planning and Zoning Board. So therefore, I would like to go ahead and announce that. And at the next council meeting, I will have made all of the committee appointments, and so that will be done, and I will be ready to make planning and zoning appointments as well. So I'm very excited about that. Now, the highlight, and that was a great highlight, but the real highlight is a little baby, and her name is Emma Dawn. And a week ago tonight, my daughter went into labor. Actually, she was induced because of high blood pressure, and we had a beautiful little 5-pound, 15-ounce little girl. And I want to tell you something on a very happy note, but a little bit of a sad note. Her middle name, Dawn, was the name of Missy Halderman, who was killed with the carjacking. And my daughter wanted to honor her memory by naming the baby's middle name Dawn, in respect to Missy Halderman and the Missy Halderman family. So she's Emma Dawn, and my 3-year-old granddaughter, who's 3.5, she actually named the baby Emma. So a little grandmother bragging here. I have a little mayoral privilege tonight. I'm also very, very excited. I met today with the Frank companies, and we met, one of the things I really wanted to work on is when we had the bowling alley presented to us, and the fact that we had to close it, and the fact that we have to sell it because we have to pay for the sale of the shotgun houses. So that's why we have to sell it. So everybody knows how I feel about that. Okay, we don't need to talk about that. But the good news is I met with the Frank family companies today, and one of the things that when Kurt and I had discussion, we really wanted to keep this a family fun facility. We really wanted to keep it a bowling alley, restaurant, something. Well, the people that I met with today have a beautiful, beautiful plan and brochures, and they're doing this all over the country, where they have bowling alleys, restaurants, laser tag, and they do it all under one roof. And so I met with them today, and they are very, very interested in purchasing our bowling alley site, and it would remain a bowling alley. And so I think that I would like to instruct the manager and the attorneys to take a look at that, see if it has to go out to bid, and if we can give them extra points for the fact that we want it to remain a bowling alley in the bid process. So I would like for us to tailor that bid so that it remains a family entertainment facility. And what we talked about and what they plan to do is just phenomenal. And when I spent quite a long time with them, and we went way over our half an hour. I think we were there about an hour. And one of the really, really interesting components of the whole thing was they have a dress code in their bowling alley, restaurant, and everything. There will be no kids coming in with even baseball caps turned to the side. There will be tucked-in shirts. There will be no, very strict. And then when they have if it's an arcade and there's children in there, they're given a wristband, and they can't exit the building without their parents. And let's say if a parent drops some children off and they're at the arcade facility or the little children's facility, and they want to be bowling, they give them a wristband, and they can type their number on their wristband into the computer and know exactly where their child is within this facility. So it's very, very high tech, but it's for the entire family. So I'm very excited about that, and I just wanted to inform you about that, because that has been the goal, I think, of this entire council, is to keep that place a family entertainment facility. So we are working on that. So I just wanted to and I hope it reverberates into the bowling alley the bowling community that we are working, the bowling community that we are working, because we have been getting emails on that, and they are very dedicated. So also, we attended the Baptist Health Foundation dinner on behalf of the city, because the city is a fellow, and I have just been having meeting after meeting after meeting. In fact, I was here from 8 o'clock this morning till 4:30 this afternoon just having meetings. And so I've been having a lot of meetings and very, very positive things in the city of Homestead. Last Friday on my way out of town, the Friday before last on my way out of town, I went to Hialeah and did a recording for Comcast Cable, and for the entire month of February, on the CNN headline news, there will be 40 times I will be on CNN headline news 40 times that month, talking about the city of Homestead. And so I will say that the city of Homestead of late has been getting tremendous press, and one of the things that draws them and brings me in, and when I look at the teleprompter in front of me, and whomever the newsman is, the saying is, "Homestead makes history by electing its first woman mayor." So that seems to be the draw, the reason why they're calling me. But the point is, by using that, I get to highlight the city of Homestead. I get to highlight the wonderful things that are happening here, the fact that we are the fastest growing city in the United States, and the fact that we have all this wonderful commercial coming online, and they have no idea what's coming online. And I'll be making a presentation next week. Just a lot of things going on. Also, Mr. Shahad and I met with the Cocoa Walk Homeowners Association to handle some of their issues there. And so I would like any members that have any people that are I would be delighted to come and speak to your homeowners group at any time. Should you want to call upon me, I just wanted to avail myself to you. And one other thing. This was a Christmas present to me from one of my constituents. And this person said, who wants to remain nameless, said, "Mayor Bell, this is for you, because for the first time in a long time we have transparency in government." I thought that was... I wish I would have thought of that. Isn't that clever? So I wish I would have thought of that. So tonight, the first time I'm going to christen this, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.